Hello everybody, welcome back to Back Out of the Case. This is Skyflight44, aka Sec44, and today we're going to be continuing to play Donkey Kong Land 1. Now, our next actual world is my second favorite world in the game. This is the water world, the pretty much sunken temple world, in which you have 3 different levels. You have the coral levels, you have the temple levels, and then you have the sunken Kremlantis levels. And well, this world is wonderful when it comes to music. There are really no duds of levels, maybe except for the coral levels, but the things I find wrong with those levels is more the length than anything else, but my favorite level is technically in the game. It's not my favorite world, but my favorite level, or my favorite level theme in the entire game is these temple levels. The platforming is just great, the level statics just great, and the music. It's either my favorite music in the entire game, my favorite track in the entire game, or that's saved for the Kremlantis theme, which are both in this actual world. So the game has great music. And for the temple levels have 3. There's 3 levels for that. There's 2 coral levels, and there's 2 Kremlantis levels. Now, the Kremlantis levels are really short. And as a water stage, they're pretty, straightforward. They're not all that, long. There's no maze-like areas. And it doesn't really have all that muddy graphics. You know what you're getting into. You can see everything. However, it's more of an obstacle course than the coral levels. There's a lot of actual enemies that go up, that go down, that go side to side. That, not to mention with some of the narrow environments, or some of the narrow areas, it's kind of a slow-going obstacle course, and I really like it for that. Not to mention the music absolutely kicks ass, but I've always been fond of these levels, and this is one of the reasons why, I love the Donkey Kong Country series. They do water levels extremely well. They have great music, the actual gameplay to them is really good. However, if there's one thing I'm going to say, if I were to compare the Kremlantis levels and the coral levels in this game, the coral levels probably I think they have more problems, while the Kremlantis levels are just overall better designed, better paced, and have better music. It's really a lot more fun. But that probably took like 1.5 to 2 minutes. A lot of the actual levels in the game only take 1 to 2 minutes, getting everything as well. Especially in the first world, a lot of them only took 1 minute. Some of the levels, like the ship levels, take 2-3 minutes. The core levels take 3.5 minutes. And those fucking cloud levels also take like at one point 4.5 minutes. And by the way, that that second cloud level, which takes 4.5 minutes, can take even longer. And this is a handheld game. If you're going to make a lot of the levels, 1 to 2 minutes long, you're not supposed to have these long ass fucking levels. Well, that's just more of a nitpick for me. But these core levels, I don't necessarily like too much. I like the music, they're pretty decent, but when it comes to screen crunch, I think these levels are probably the worst. And most of the levels in this game, screen crunch is not an issue. Yeah, the screen is, you know, smaller, but for the most part, you can see what's coming ahead of you. You know when enemies are, you know, coming at you, shit like that. You're never really bothered by the smaller screen. Except in these levels. Like right there. You can get blindsided by enemies. Especially these grinder things. There's a lot of points in these levels. Or that, or the Chomps. Or the Chomp Juniors, I don't really remember. They can be really bad when it comes to just blindsiding you. Just coming out of nowhere. And hitting you. And that's one of the... I find that to be one of the weaker parts of the Coral levels. But other than that, I don't really find them all that offensive. Compared to something like Mario, like Super Mario water levels. In which the only real problems I have with those is that they're kind of boring. But, or some other water action stages, which are just, you know, again, boring, or just, well, not well designed, frustrating. But, oh yeah, by the way, still hate Donkey Kong Country Returns for not having water stages. I mean, damn. I don't know whose decision it was to go and not have water stages in Donkey Kong Country Returns. When Donkey Kong Country is supposed to be, you know, well known for having, you know, good water stages. When people talk about exceptions to the all water stages are bad rule, they, you know, somebody in the room is going to bring up these games. But oh well. As you can see, this is a sneak peek of a Cloud level later on. I'm just gonna say, you can probably already see why they're bad. But that's nowhere near as bad as the second Cloud level. You know, fuck those. Oh yeah, by the way, the actual slippers here, the jars will, well, they'll go in, the steak jars will send these slippers out. But I can't tell why some of them actually fall off. Some of the actual slippers that, like right there, that come out of the steak jars, they fall off. And at other points, they don't. And I can't tell which ones are going to and which ones aren't. And that can fuck you up. Not too often, considering most of the time when I'm, most of the time they get to the actual edge of the platform before they fall off. Well before I actually get to them. But if you actually get hit by them, because you can, when they go back, when you're expecting them to, you know, fall off, that can get annoying. That can be really frustrating. Because, again, I don't see any telltale signs for them to actually fall off. It's a little nitpick, but I would really hope somebody, if there is a, you know, telltale sign of if one's gonna fall off, like in the Super Mario series, with the green Koopas will fall off the edge, red Koopas won't actually do so. But, you know, if there is, if somebody knows, you go out and tell me. Now, I kind of wish that the Cramlantis levels were a little bit longer. It was right there. That probably took like a minute to a minute and a half. That sucks. I really do enjoy them. And the Coral, doing both of the actual, doing both of the Cramlantis levels pretty much takes the space of an actual core level. Ah, this core level. This was the second skill gate for me. And if you don't know what skill gate is, basically it's something blocking your progression in a game until you get better at the goddamn game. This took me forever to beat. However, I was still able to beat it. This is the Nautilus chase. I didn't necessarily like this level as a child. Some people have these childhood memories, these levels they played as a child, that scared the shit out of them, or at least unnerved them. Like one I can think of is Super Mario 64. That eel, that fucking eel that apparently people think was, absolutely, frightening as all hell. Now, I did actually have a little bit of a nightmare with Super Mario 64 as a kid, but that was the game over portion when you died, got the game over, and Bowser's laugh and that Bowser symbol coming out at you. That scared the fuck out of me. But the eel, no. This level, however, unnerved the shit out of me as a child. Because of fucking Nautilus. As for a Game Boy game, this is a great looking Game Boy game. That Nautilus was not in Donkey Kong Country. It was, I believe, if it was those octopus, something like that, Croctopus, it might have been, enemies, they were chasing you at one point, and I think this is sort of like a replacement. But these Nautilus are just, it's well done, and it's well rendered. And it's creepy. I don't know. It looks intimidating. It looks very intimidating. Though, it's not all that bad if if you're actually good with these levels. Oh yeah, by the way, I think there's a couple of bonus coins behind there. But the Nautilus just right there. Holy shit! I probably would have skipped a heartbeat there if I was a child. It looks and it animated just so fucking. What's the word? I don't know. All I can say is absolutely unnerving. Not to mention, again, as a child, not being used to the actual water controls, as well as I should have been, it creeped me out. Just, I lost so many lives there. That's my childhood monster when it comes to video games, anyway. Now, we're actually going into the final temple level. These tornadoes are actually a really interesting little gimmick. They can harm you, though. The tops can't. They'll just send you up all the time. But the sides can. And one of the, and they do track you somewhat. If you're jumping on them, they track you quite a lot better than if you're just, off of them. They go far slower. And a lot of times you're going to have to go and kind of bait them out so that you can go and grab something. But it's a pretty good level. I really do like the platforming on these things too. The temple levels just, in my opinion, got the good shit. And some of the other levels just didn't do all that well. Well, I find this world's levels to be more interesting than the first world. The first world kind of lacked some of the excitement, I think, that some of the other worlds have. Granted, the third world pisses me off at points, but I think the first world doesn't have any problems except that it might be lackluster in areas. The second world has quite a lot of water levels, and that's the only real downside to it. Great music, good level design, outside maybe the core levels at points. But the fourth world is by far the best overall quality. Yeah, another fucking easy boss. I do enjoy the boss music a hell of a lot more than Donkey Kong Country. Actually, a lot of pieces in Donkey Kong Land I think are just better, more interesting than the Donkey Kong Country equivalent. Because, you know, the actual melodies more stand out. It stands out quite a lot more. And I love it for it. Oh well, see you in the next part.